Okay, hi, it's John here, and it's
Liane.
Hi.
Hello.
So here we are again at IntoU. So today we're talking about decision making, and now the way people make decisions fundamentally creates a lot of arguments. Okay, so this is what happens. This is the neurology of how people think they make decisions. They think because someone, let's say if Liana's made a decision, the Western approach very much is Liane must have had some logic or some rationale to have come to that decision. Okay, so my way of challenging that from a Western kind of typical approach would be to demand what logical and rational approach Liane made. Now, the reality is, Liane, as we all do, would have made a decision through emotions and feelings, okay, through your unconscious mind. And this is proven neurology, this is science here, is that what's actually been evidenced is we tend to make decisions through our gut, through our enteric nervous system, actually it's called, that's where the feelings actually come through. And it's very much a sort of felt sense of what the right thing is to do. And I know you know that when you've instantly made the wrong decision, you'll feel that in your gut, won't you? And you also feel when you feel you got it right. But what happens is, when someone says, so why did you make that decision? We create some logic around that decision. Now, and then the logic comes out, and then that's the thing that gets attacked, is the logic and the rational approach. Completely forgetting that actually that wasn't how the original decision was actually made. So that's a source of a lot of arguments, a lot of conflict in all kinds of relationships, you know, family, business, and romantic. So what do we do about that, Liane? You know, if you know, when we're challenged.
I think we have to just realize that we can change.
Yeah.
So when we make a decision and it doesn't feel right, we can change. We can also say, I actually don't have a logical explanation, it just feels right.
What?
It is most likely funny when you say it the first time, but sometimes that's only what we have to offer, and we don't need to analyze and find these explanations and convince ourselves that we're allowed to do that. It's a lot about giving ourselves permission to do what feels right for us, and to just back ourselves up, knowing that we have, an internal guidance which, when we are in a good place, actually knows quite well what we want and what we don't want.
So trust yourself and learn, particularly in relationship, that it's okay to say that's because that felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It may even now be that you may now know it's the wrong thing to do, but at the time it felt like the right thing to do. I remember a story of my, when I first started in the training world, I used to work with a lady called Judy Apps, who's a wonderful lady and has become a fantastic author now. Has written the Dummy's Guide to Communication and Public Speaking and so on. So I remember we were delivering workshops regularly in London, and I wanted to push her to do some more workshops, particularly on weekends days, because I felt there was was a bigger audience. More people were interested in coming on weekends and so on. And we had this logical argument backwards and forwards in the car that actually went on for several weeks. And then she eventually said to me, she said, John, you don't need to know why I don't want to do more weekends. And that's it, she said, and I completely got it then. I finally, I woke up with the neuroscience and realising that actually for Judy, it was a really felt sense that she didn't want to do any more weekends, that would conflict with her own family and her beliefs and how she wanted to spend her time at a weekend, and too many weekends would have been the wrong balance. And she didn't need to explain it to me, and I didn't need to know what the explanation was. I just needed to appreciate that was her choice. And that was the end of the debate. As soon as she gave me that really clear, coherent message, and I remembered that the decisions are made through gut, and that's okay, then we'd never talked about it again, and we were both happy with that decision.
And it is sometimes to just really be honest with yourself, to change your mind, or to be allowed to accept and to communicate that you made a mistake. Yeah, that you want to, not even a mistake, that you just feel differently now about that decision. Because sometimes people decide and they think they can't change anymore. And that in itself is a decision, because of course you can change. Of course you can make every moment in your life, you can make new decisions which sit right for you there and then.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about this more in another video, about constructed reality and so on. That all these decisions and things and logic that we thought we used in, several weeks ago or even years ago about decisions, it isn't true. It's something we've constructed after the event. And it can be a useful construction, can close down an argument, can end a conversation, but it isn't true. It's our best guess of what the logic might have been if we'd actually taken a logical approach at the time.
And the brain, the brain works in fascinating ways. If we go back to past events, we change these events. Yep. And when you talk about creation, if you have ever come across a jealous person, jealous people will create evidence. Yeah, it's there is maybe none, but the brain will find evidence, because the brain creates what you expect to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to just know that what you see is not the truth, that is just really filtered through your expectation and your belief systems, and your brain can really trick you in ways you don't even realize.
So, and then we're getting the whole idea of cognitive bias as well, and psychology, which is a fascinating area in itself, and would take several hours to start to go through that. But for now, just reflect on the fact that you don't make decisions through logic. Okay, you really don't. You might think you've created a lot of logic, and even modeled a spreadsheet and so on and things like that. But when the ultimate decision comes, it's from something deeper than that. It's from a wiser wisdom in your unconscious mind will tell you, and it generally comes through your gut about what the right thing is to do. Okay, which and that does create a problem when you're asked to explain yourself. But if two of you in a relationship or a group of people can actually respect that that's where decisions really come from, then that tends to simplify life a lot, and with much greater appreciation for the different perspectives that people have and bring to the table, and just actually how smart your unconscious mind is. It's incredible, really. Yeah. Okay, hope that helps.
Bye.